Sci-Fi Guy 2094 here. I'm going to talk about a very old movie that I just revisited. So, I watched 28 Days Later last night, obviously, with this new film 28 Years Later coming out. I want to go back and watch the original. So, I probably watched this movie like one time back in the day when I was really young. This came out in 2003. I probably watched it when I was like maybe in 5th or 6th grade, so very long time ago. I didn't remember too much. Some of it looked a little familiar, but I really didn't remember the entire movie and how everything played out. So, watched it last night, revisited this film. Have to say, I really like it. I kind of remember the opening scene. You know, you have these journalists in England. They're kind of like activists, and you know they see these chimps being experimented on, and in these kind of inhumane conditions. And basically, you know, they're there to take photos and kind of expose, you know, this lab, this medical company that's doing these experiments on these chimps. So one of the workers is there, and you know he tries to warn them, like, "Hey, no, don't free these animals. They're infected." And they're like, "With what?" And he says, "Rage." So there's like somehow they created this virus that like makes people just makes the chimps, initially the chimps, just angry and violent. So this chick lets one of them out, and it attacks her. And because humans are so closely related to chimpanzees, you know, the virus is able to be transferred to humans as well. And then you have the main character, Jim, we see, played by Cillian Murphy. We find him 28 days later. He wakes up in this hospital. The whole city is deserted. You know, we find out about the evacuation and everything. So he's basically alone. He meets Selena and, you know, this other guy. Unfortunately, the other guy gets infected, and Selena just doesn't hesitate. At first, I thought she was just gonna like cut his arm off because his arm was like, you know, there was like a gash in his arm. I thought to maybe stop the infection from spreading, she was just gonna like chop his arm off, but no, she actually killed him. So wow, that's pretty crazy. I do like this movie. It has a great horror element. Obviously, it's a zombie film. Um, I really like when they meet the family with the you know, the flashing lights, and they meet the guy and his daughter, and then they hear the broadcast and they're like, okay, we need to get to this compound. And you know, so I kind of like the journey because they form like this family unit, you know, with Jim and Celine. Is it Celine or Selena? I don't know. I'm gonna say, I think it was Selena. And then the elder guy and his daughter. So they form like this family unit, and it's, you know, they're going around, and it's like this nice little road trip. And you know, obviously there are some times where they have to, they're in a very dire situation, like when they're trying to get to the compound where the broadcast is from. And Jim is like, okay, we shouldn't go in this tunnel because, you know, it's dark down there, we can't see, and it's enclosed. And I was like, good idea, Jim. You know what they do? They actually go in the tunnel. And I'm like, really, dude? And then he's driving all crazy. He gets the flat tire. They got to change it real quick. And then the zombies come. And that's a tense situation. I'm like, oh man, are they going to get this tire changed in time? So yeah, they got to change the time, they get out of there. But that was too close for comfort. So that was a really great suspense moment in that film. That was awesome. So yeah, I like the aspect where they kind of get like this family dynamic going. And then Jim and Selena are like, she's kind of cold at first, and she's just like, it's all about surviving. And then eventually she starts to open up and be more personable with Jim. And then unfortunately, the dad dies, and they have to kill him. They eventually make it to the compound, and you know, there's basically it's like a army base kind of. They've got a boiler for hot water. You know, they want to rebuild, and they're the ones that sent out the broadcast. Basically, what the commander there promised all the other men was like, okay, someone's going to hear this broadcast and there's going to be women that come. So basically, he promised them women, and his plan was basically to make them brides and start to repopulate. I understand why he did it. I can't even be mad at him, but going about it the wrong way, he was basically going to force them to just have children and repopulate the human race. Like I said, I understand why he did it, but he went about it the wrong way. Once Jim finds out, he's like, okay, we have to get out of here. They stop him, and they try to kill Jim and this other guy that opposed it. So there was like a final battle. When the zombies come, they have to take out a lot of the zombies. And then obviously you have to have Jim save the girls. He kind of is almost like a vigilante at this point. He's climbing on top of the building and the roof. It's so hard to climb on roofing and move around like that, but he was just like, he became like an action hero. It wasn't that realistic, a guy with no training outsmarting these military guys. So that part of the film I was like a little bit, okay, that's kind of like, it seems out of character for Jim. It doesn't seem like he would be this skilled at taking these people out. The chain zombie, he frees him, so that zombie attacks some of the guys. But Jim, he becomes a badass, with no prior training, so I don't know how he became so intelligent. But besides that, great film. I really like this film. Like I said, it had been ages since I'd seen this film, so I really like it. In the end, they see this plane hovering, and they've got these giant blankets, and he sees them, and he seemingly lands and takes them somewhere, a new compound or somewhere else. So it's a nice happy ending. Yes, this is just a zombie film, but I think it's really good. As far as like the story, the characters, the suspense, and the action. It's not just a mindless zombie film. This is really a good film. So I hadn't seen this in ages, so it was great to revisit it. I really liked it. I would give this a solid 8 out of 10, and I cannot wait to see the new movie 28 years later.